we don't create music, we download music from the cosmos. That music is out there and it comes into us, into our consciousness, and then we frame it and try to put it on paper.
5, 1, 3, 5, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 4, 1. Off we go. It's not terribly effective. Out of every 500 posters I put up, I maybe get one student. It's amazing how famous I am all over the world because of the cartoon character, but nobody seems to realize that I'm alive and well and trying to do business in the hate. What happens is everybody believes the cartoon is the thing and that I'm a copy of the cartoon rather than actually we're both one and the same. After they realize that I'm the character, and that that's my real name when they look at my ID, then they always look at me and go, gee, you look just like yourself. That's a hard chord to get into, but I found that if you put your finger here and do every other thing like that, that's a B minor. And so it's easy to play a D to B minor to G. I've been working very, very hard the last 25 years reinventing music theory and reinventing a way of teaching it to us common people.
Never been famous as a guitar player, but what the hell? You ready? 1, 2.
What I'm really trying to do is to teach musical thinking rather than a theory method. And the number system is an amazingly good way of doing that.
One more time for the second verse.
I came to San Francisco in 1966 as a beatnik, if you remember beatniks. I was with a Vanguard Drum and Bugle Corps, and I was traveling around the United States, marching with this drum corps and also teaching how to play French horn bugle. And then always had San Francisco in my mind. In 1968, I decided at that time I was going to move out here and live permanently. The first thing I did is I got hooked up with a newspaper called the Good Times. I worked with the Good Times and hung out at the Good Times and finally became a part of the Good Times commune. In those days, there were a lot of printing houses here in San Francisco, and they would get these huge 7x14 sheets of paper, and they'd have to cut them down to 8.5 by 11. And what happened is there'd be a thin strip that was left that would go into the dumpster. We at the Good Times would dumpster dive and take them to the rip-off press, and they took that and cut that in half and then folded it and got that small little format for the Zap comics. At that time, Rip-Off Press needed someplace to get their graphics done so they could take the line art, turn it into what's called a stat, and have a negative of that stat made. We'd put this negative on the light table and clean up the artwork. Well, I was the guy that did those stats. When Robert Crumb developed this character back east, when he brought it out here, he decided to put it into Zap Comics. And the first time I put that on the table, everybody looked at it and said, "Oh my God, Natural looks like you." So they started calling me Natural. Until about 1973, I got called Mr. Natural so often that I thought, well, maybe I ought to just change my name. And one day, I went home, and there was an entire German family sitting in my living room. And they said, we wanted to see Mr. Natural. So you just opened your window and we crawled through and basically broke into your house, and we've been sitting here waiting for you. At that point I thought, okay, jig's up, I'm Mr. Natural.
If a writer is insightful about what's going on around him, chances are what he writes will come to pass. A lot of the stories that Robert Crumb wrote are prophetic. Not always pleasant, but, real. It is interesting watching some of those cartoons come to life in front of my eyes and having me go through it. Here's my favorite one, Mr. Natural's Meditation 719. I'm trying not to break my meditation, so I start oming. Om. It's like everything you want to say about my character, my life, and evolution. So it's kind of a strange, interesting karma where the character and I have lived a simultaneous life, side by side, down through the years. Permission granted to use the graphics by me of Mr. Natural. Just put the 2005 copyright R. Crumb in small lettering somewhere near the artwork. It's strange that you actually changed your name to Mr. Natural. Is that official? I mean, is that the name on your legal identity, like your driver's license or your tax returns? I wonder how that has affected your destiny using that name. I've got a lot to say about that. Do you think it's influenced your character over the years? Got a lot to say about that. A few years ago, I received a letter or two from you claiming that we met way back then, but I absolutely don't have any memory of it. Too many drugs. But I'm willing to meet you the next time I'm in San Francisco, Robert Crumb. So that's my French postcard contract, giving me permission to be me. And he's right, we were all doing too many drugs back then.
A lot of people wonder what caused the 60s to erupt, kind of, and it seems sort of out of context. All of a sudden, this massive group of youth searching. What were they searching for, and what was so bad about the mainstream that they had to reject it? The norm got to be defined super narrow, and that was really scary for a lot of people. And so I think we just had to blow the doors off that, It's just like, there is no norm, because that was not a sustainable lifestyle. So it makes total sense to me that the hippie movement kind of erupted out of as a reaction to all of that.
A lot of people think they're going to get high because it's a hippie tour, And how it really started was in '65 when the beatniks were being run out of North Beach and the South of Market, because that area was getting gentrified and this area was very dumpy and very cheap in those days. So the beatniks moved here first. You've heard of the book On the Road by Neil Cassidy and Jack Kerouac?
I feel the need to not forget, and I'm doing my best to preserve and embrace and remind people that it was the visionaries of the 60s and the artists and the counterculture that made the Haight-Ashbury what it is today.
Living in the Haight-Ashbury and having long hair does not make you a hippie. A hippie's about peace. It's about love. It's about respect for each and every being. And it's about respect for Mother Earth. In fact, in the 60s, everybody had long hair, even the police. Okay, let's roll on.
To answer one of Robert's questions, it's completely transformed my life, it's totally altered my destiny, and it hasn't made me a celebrity. It hasn't made me famous, it's made me infamous. It's actually been more trouble than any advantage that it's brought me, because people constantly fight with it. And it's the same thing that happens with this new music method that I've been developing. I start with my pen in the middle,
Yes.
come
yes,
down,
Yes.
go
yes.
up and around.
And put the line.
Yeah, see, and then I can get the circle every time
perfectly inside. And watch, right? Start with the center. Remember, start on the line and then go around and fill from the outside in. Yeah, that way you'll have more control. You know, the word guru, which is one of my favorite words, is spelled G-U-R-U, right? G-U-R-U. Most gurus are trying to develop a interpersonal relationship in which you're dependent on their teaching. It's not their goal to raise a bird that they're going to kick out of the nest that'll fly away and develop its own life. So that's what we wanted to do here. And we touch that other note like that and go like that. Out of every million people that are born, there are several hundred people that have what we call perfect pitch. And just learning ABC and then learning to read music and start playing it, good thing for people with perfect pitch. The other 90% of everybody that wants to learn something about music has what we call relative pitch. Now when I listen to a fan, or I hear my radiator humming, or I listen to the refrigerator turn on, or I turn on a fluorescent light, that hum, that buzz that you're hearing is actually the note B flat. Hum of the lights, the fluorescent lights, is that note. Now, having relative pitch and knowing that, I'm out on Haight Street and I hear someone playing on their didgeridoo. And I listen to the transformer that's humming on the wires going overhead, and I hear this B flat, and I hear that they're here. So I go ba 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 ba, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D. Oh, you're in the key of D. Oh, Jesus, look at that. Wow.
Here I am in 1966 when I first arrived on Haight Street. This is my music teacher, Ben Olson, and this is my best friend, Jim Van Dyke.
Ben Olson was a classically trained composer, and he used to be the dean of the Cap Street Music Center here in the 50s. He had mentioned to me that half of the orchestra is in the key of C, or what we call concert pitch, but the other half of the orchestra is in various keys. So if I want to take an alto saxophone and a trumpet player and a piano player, I would have to write 3 separate scores in 3 separate keys so they can sound the same note. Because these other instruments are basically taught a lie. They've been lied to. They learn to read music in the key of C, but they're actually playing, the sound is in a different key. And that offset is something that eventually they have to learn. So Ben and I sat down, and he realized that as time was going on, he stopped thinking of it as ABC, and he started thinking more of it in terms of numbers and in terms of intervals. Let's see. And I said to him, well, then why don't we just throw out the ABC system altogether and just teach people how to do music by number?
6.
Well, it turns out that no one's ever figured out how to do that.
B flat is a 5 dominant chord.
Well, I was like anyone else. I've always been wondering what I'm going to be when I grow up. And I suddenly realized that for me, figuring out this problem, how to teach intervals, how to get rid of the ABC system, how to break down all the old problems with composition and develop a new approach to this, that would be my purpose.
5 1 3 5 4 3 4 3 2 4. So there had to be a way of making this universal, and I knew it had something to do with numbers. I took an acid trip once, and while I was on LSD, I had this hallucination of a flower. And I suddenly realized that the petals that I was hallucinating were the lines on the staff. And if you take the bottom line of the staff and make that the number 1, then the next line up is the number 3, the next line is the number 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 1, and that pattern occurred over and over and over again. Then I noticed in my hallucination the space in between each petal, and I noticed that the pattern was 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6. It was the same pattern. And this idea that it starts out with 4 odd numbers and then switches to 3 even numbers, which is kind of paradoxical, summed up everything that happens in music. The aha moment was the circle of thirds is a much more powerful tool for understanding everything you need to know about reading music on the staff and for understanding how to spell and write chords, any kind of chord, up to 2 octaves.
Look, here's how the decoder works. I'll give you a 2-word clue. The second word is in our secret code. Here is the secret code word.
Growing up in the 50s, watching TV, we always had some kind of a little decoder ring or decoder watch that you would get,
Now, set your secret decoder.
and it would have numbers on it and the alphabet inside, and you would turn it to some key code and you'd spell out something and it would say drink Ovaltine.
Remember, get your Ovaltine, the food drink for rocket power.
So I came up with what I call the decoder wheel, which is just simply this. Start with a dial, start here with the number 1, then put the number 3, the number 5, 7, 2, 4, and the number 6. Let's say we start here with the letter C, then this here would be the letter E, G, B, D, F, and right here you would have the letter A. And it turns out C, E, G is the way we spell a C chord or a 1 chord. B, D, F is the way we spell a diminished 7th chord. D, F, A is the way we spell a 2 chord. F, A, C is the way that we spell a 4 chord. G, B, D is a 5 chord. And if I skip every other pattern, I still have the circle of fifths, which people were studying. This finally, after dealing with it for a while, helped me learn to read music by number by visually seeing the size of those intervals. And it allowed me to take everything I had learned for the last 35, 40 years of music and condense it into a simple little decoder wheel. And I thought, oh my God, here's these personal experiences I had as a child playing with these little decoder rings on television, and I finally found the magic decoder ring that unlocks the most important secret to music theory and the ability to actually see it, as a geometric pattern.
Quite often I come on the internet here and look at my email and I have to run into people's dogmas all the time. Here's an example of something that was sent to me by someone from Canada. You're not doing anyone a service by teaching people to play by number. Why don't you just learn to read music? Okay. It's interesting how people can criticize learning to read by number if they've never done it. They know all about it and they've never done it. I find that fascinating. The ABC system, most people fail at it, and nobody seems to take that into account.
These were probably the first compositions I ever did. I should try them out, see what they sound like on the piano. Heaven knows what it would be like for me to play it these days.
Oh dear. Ah, the young Polish lawyer. It's my mom's favorite picture. Ah, here's my mom and my dad. My dad and his 2 brothers.
It seems that on the male side of our family, as far back as the family tree goes, we've always been bipolar or schizophrenic. I've gone through depression my whole life, and I've wrestled with insanity my whole life. In 1999, I lost my mind again. I just went completely bonkers. They were going to take me to the hospital, and I wouldn't let them.
because I'm terrified of the hospitals and the doctors. I don't think I'm going to get any help. I'm just going to get medicated. I locked myself literally in the room back there for 3 months and said, don't bother me, I'm going to deal with this. I started reading all these, what I call pragmatic documents about the brain, and reading a lot of stuff on Buddhism and getting back to the basics of me dealing with my own mind. And in 3 months, I cured myself.
This has code words, and it has the most common.
So I basically moved into this space here in 2000 and said I would just pick one thing that was my passion, that had existed throughout my whole life, and focus in on that. And the one thing that's been with me my whole life from age 4 to now, in the largest arc that I could imagine, that was always there, always in the background, was my music. And I want to start a music school. I want to take this idea that I've developed now about music theory, and I want to start passing on as a legacy to others. And what I want to do now is just create a musical legacy. That's all I want to do. One morning, I wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and my house is on fire. I had a bottle of petroleum ether, which I had stored in my refrigerator, and the cap came off. The spark from the compressor ignited the petroleum ether, and the petroleum ether exploded, blew the door off of the refrigerator all the way across the kitchen into the bathroom, knocking the bathroom door open and setting everything in the kitchen on fire. And I wake up and I'm completely nude. So I have this big fuzzy pink robe hanging on the door there. And as I'm heading towards the door, I notice that on one of the shelves, I have this little toy fireman's helmet. And so I grab the fireman's helmet for some reason, go running out the house, yelling, my house is on fire, put the little red fireman's helmet on, and I'm in this big pink fuzzy robe, standing out on Masonic over there by Oak. So I start yelling at my neighbors to come, and people call for the fire department, and out comes this woman wearing the exact same pink robe that I was wearing. And she looks at me and sees me with the little fireman's hat, and she starts laughing. And then she realizes that it's my house that's on fire, and she kind of feels bad about laughing. So that's how I meet Angel.
I started piano lessons when I was about 6 years old, and then I picked up the flute like in 4th grade, and I picked up the guitar when I was about 13. Kept up with the piano all the way through college and got a degree in music and composition and performance. Then after I left college, I realized that I couldn't play anything without music in front of me. And so I deliberately took music away altogether and tried to just learn to improvise, and I had a little bit of success with that, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And it was from a totally different point of view and a totally emotional point of view, as opposed to just doing what the music said. And then when I met Natch, then I started to pay attention to what numbers I was playing when I played music and realized that they made a lot of sense. One of the first things that we noticed when we were figuring out melodies was that all melodies end on 1. And that was something that through 30 years of playing music by famous classical composers, I had never noticed before, but it was true of everything I had ever played. And so I said, well, there must be something to this. This is starting to reveal things to me that, should have been obvious. The way they teach it in ABC, if a song is an A, it ends on an A. If a song is in B flat, it ends on a B flat, but you don't associate that they are all ending on 1.
I remember saying to Angel one day, wouldn't it be nice if there were a musical ruler that I could just put on the keyboard that would show or visualize this relationship? And that's how I came up with the intervalometer.
This was our first product, the intervalometer, and you cut the strips apart and connect them. And then we wrote this theory book, and then we started making all kinds of fingering charts. This is one for the saxophone. And basically, you take cut these little strips off and put them in between the piano keys and the fingering patterns, and it will show you how to play any scale.
Music theory decoded strictly by the numbers. An oasis of learning. 10 years in the making. We wrote this book in around 1999, and it's gone through several revisions. Sent it out to publisher after publisher after publisher, and we've never gotten even our own copies back. And after doing that for 10 years, I'm kind of tired. So we decided to self-publish. This whole section on modulation, I'm excited about, and it'll take you as far as you want to go. You can change key as many times and as often in the piece as you like. And this is something that jazz musicians have been doing for a long time without explaining it to people other than saying, we use the circle of fifths. Okay, that's nice. How do you use it? It's like saying, I have a tuxedo and you don't.
1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's give it a try. And
I wanted people to develop the ability to think like a musician, and I realized the way to do that was all of music theory and the whole approach had to be simplified to the point where we mere mortals can understand it and use it, and then develop a way of reading and teaching people to write.
perfect. So you played it in B and we're reading it in C, so you've done the automatic transposition. And what I'm doing here is...
Every now and then I'll grab the comic book and read it to see what's happened to my life. Most of the things that Robert Crumb wrote about the character have actually happened to me. So I actually see the character as a sort of a prophetic ghost of what my life is supposed to be. And I've kind of lived out the destiny of Mr. Natural through that character. To this day, people come into the Haight-Ashbury, walk up and down the Haight-Ashbury, say, where's Mr. Natural? Now at least they have a place that they can come.
So let's try this and see how it'll work out as a theme song for our open mic.
Okay.
You ready? Mr. Natural, I've got this idea in my head, so I thought I'd get you out of bed. You're the only one who can help me make my dreams come true. Everything comes easily for you. I hope it won't be any trouble. By the way, can I get that on the double?
No, I didn't model for the character, but it was kind of a prophetic shadowing of my coming here to the Haight-Ashbury. You know, also the character only lasted for 2 years, and a lot of people don't realize the summer love only happened for 1 year, and the echo of it has been persisting ever since. And so I'm that echo.
Mr. Natural, I'm gonna be a big star. With your help, you know I'll go far, 'cause you've got everything that I need to take it all the way. But I'm not feeling very well today, so I'm canceling my lesson. As for next week, I'll keep you guessing. Mr. Natural, you've given me so much for free. I think you must really love me, and it's a good thing too, 'cause there's so much more you can help me do. I owe you big time and I'll pay ya too, but you know it's kind of funny. Right now I don't have any money. Here's my answer back. Mr. Natural says, just get those ideas out of your head. Get over yourself before I'm dead, 'cause you're the only one who can help you make your dreams come true. If it's valuable, it's hard to do. You only need to dig your ditches and stop acting like little bitches. Mr. Natural says, hey, you gotta help yourself, my dear friend. You see, my patience has come to an end, 'cause I've shown you the way. You've got to practice each and every
day. Get with the program if you want to play, otherwise you'll keep on sucking. Might as well pack up your stuff and keep on trucking.
Keep on trucking.
Get over yourselves.
Keep on trucking.
Oh, you're ruining my health.
Keep on trucking.
You're drying up this well, dude.
Keep on trucking.
Will you stop ringing my bell?
Keep on trucking.
Ah, well, we're all going to hell, so we just might as well keep on trucking. I like it.
Peace. Oh, you got it? Okay, cool.